Hello everyone. Today in this session I will discuss with respect to the reproduction in plants and animals, and I will complete this topic in the two different sessions. Today I will deal with the part 1 of reproduction in plants and animals. Before I would begin, I can say the reproduction is a process. Reproduction is a process by which the new organisms they are formed. Reproduction is a process in which the new organisms they are formed, and it is a basic feature of all the living organisms. The non-living substances they don't reproduce. The non-living substances they don't reproduce. And if I will describe in detail the meaning of the term reproduction, the reproduction is a process in which the new individuals they are formed by the parents, and the new individuals which are formed they are similar to the parental species. I want to say reproduction is a true to breeding process. I want to say if a leguminous plant reproduces, the new plants which are formed they would belong to the Leguminosae family, they will belong to the beans family and nothing else. It means that reproduction is the process which is a true to breeding phenomenon as well. And the product of the reproduction, they may be referred with the name of young ones, or they may be referred with the name of offsprings in the literature. And primarily the reproduction, it is one of the process during the lifespan of an organism that begins from birth up to the death. The reproduction is one of the important process in the adult age. Generally, the plants as well as animals reproduce only after acquiring the adult stage or after acquiring the maturity. And keep in mind, reproduction is also a process in the unicellular organisms which makes them immortal. No individual in this universe is immortal except the unicellular organisms. So let's consider the case of amoeba, which is one of the common unicellular animal. When the amoeba grows in size, acquires maturity, thereafter it starts dividing. And due to its division, the daughter amoeba are formed. It means that there is no any stage which is called as a natural death in the life history of unicellular organisms. The process of reproduction makes them immortal. And based upon the number of participants in the reproduction is primarily of two types. One is called as asexual reproduction and second one is known as sexual reproduction. Asexual reproduction, it is a kind of the reproduction which is reported in case of lower plants, which is reported in the lower animals, and it is characterized by its uniparental nature. I want to say only a single parent is involved in the asexual reproduction. And we can cite the examples such as it is reported in the bacteria, it is reported in the yeast. Yeast is a unicellular fungus. Then In asexual reproduction, the single parent undergoes division and it may form the new individuals which may be referred with the name of young ones. Keep in mind, the products of asexual reproduction are never called as offsprings. And the young ones which are formed as a result of asexual reproduction, they are similar to the parent and their aggregate is referred with the name of clone. But keep in mind, a single individual which is produced by asexual reproduction, it is called as ramete, and hence the clone is defined as aggregate of rametes. It is ramete, it is not the gamete. The single individual which is formed by the asexual reproduction process, that is called as ramete, and a clone is an aggregate of rametes. And the various members of a clone family, they resemble each other morphologically as well as genetically. And the parent which shows asexual reproduction, that may show the several different categories of methodologies for the production of new young ones. It may undergo fission or division. It may show budding, or by means of vegetative propagation, the new individuals may be formed. So if I specifically concentrate on one of the common method of asexual reproduction, which is referred with the name of fission. So in the fission process, the parent cell which has to show the asexual reproduction, that undergo division into two or more than two individuals. If the parent cell get divided into the two daughter individuals, the fission is referred with the name of binary fission. But if the parent cell divides into more than two daughter individuals or into many daughter individuals, the process may be referred with the name of multiple fission. And both categories of fission, binary fission as well as a multiple fission, has been reported in the amoeba. Whereas paramecium shows longitudinal binary fission. And the plasmodium, it shows multiple fission. So you may see the various pictures which are reflected on the slide. And you may see in the first case, the parent cell, which is an amoeba, after acquisition of maturity, undergo division into the two daughter individuals. These two daughter individuals, they may be referred with the name of daughter amoebae, or they may be referred with the name of rametes, and they are morphologically as well as genetically similar to the parent amoeba. You may see the various different pseudopodia, they are similar in the parent cell as well as in the daughter cells. And likewise, if we assess the chromosomes as well as the genes of parent cell as well as of the daughter cells, they are found to be similar. They are found to be similar. So hence, I can say, in case of asexual reproduction, morphology as well as the genetics of parent cell matches with the daughter cells. And in multiple fission, the parent amoeba undergo division into so many daughter amoebae. And these daughter amoebae, they are first of all, when formed, they are smaller in size and they may be called as amoebulae. Keep in mind, Binary fission is shown by the amoeba particularly during favorable conditions. That is when there is a plenty of the food material, when there is a plenty of water, then the parent amoeba divides by the binary fission. But the multiple fission is shown by the amoeba both in the favorable as well as in the unfavorable conditions. And predominantly, multiple fission is opted by the parent amoeba during unfavorable conditions when there is a lack of water in the pond or when there is a shortage of food material in the pond. Furthermore, you may see all the products of multiple fission in case of amoeba, which are known as a daughter amoeba or amoebulae. Later on, they acquire all the features of the parent cell. So hence we can say whether it is the binary fission or multiple fission or it is budding or fragmentation, any methodology of asexual reproduction is there. All the daughter cells, they are similar to the parents in their morphology as well as the genetics. Then if I were to cite one more example for fission, so you may see a diagram here. The diagram is of paramecium, which is commonly called as slipper animalcule. The paramecium in the adult stage undergoes binary fission and get divided into the two daughter paramecia. And these two daughter paramecia, likewise, it is similar to the parent cell. So hence, we can say binary fission is opted as a common mode of reproduction in the unicellular organisms, whereas a multiple fission can be opted as method of reproduction for parination. Parination means to tide over unfavorable periods or conditions, as well as to show the multiplication in order to maintain the continuity of the race. Binary fission is also the common mode of reproduction in case of bacteria. Keep in mind, if a bacteria is allowed to do the binary fission for 24 hours, then we can have 4.7 into 10 raised to 21 descendants of that parent bacterial cell. Again, I am mentioning this particular example. If a bacterium is allowed to do the binary fission for 24 hours continuously, then a single bacterium can generate approximately 4.7 into 10 raised to 21 descendants. So hence it is also a mode of multiplication, common mode of multiplication in the bacterial cells as well. And due to the binary fission, the bacteria are said to be immortal. That is, there is no any natural death in the bacterium. Then we can also found the multiple fission in the parasites, especially the unicellular parasites such as Plasmodium. Plasmodium is the malarial parasite which infects the human species, and this Plasmodium, for its multiplication, it will performs the multiple fission and generates a number of daughter particles that infects the liver and RBC and is responsible for generating the malarial fever in the human beings. Then furthermore, the second important methodology for asexual reproduction, that is known as budding. Keep in mind, budding takes place from the parent cell surface externally, or budding may take place internally. I want to say a bud is an outgrowth or it may be an ingrowth. And you may see In case of yeast, this is a diagram of the yeast. In case of the yeast, when the budding takes place, first of all, a small protuberance appears on the surface of the cells towards one end, and later on this outgrowth or protuberance enlarges in size. It acquires all the features of the adult yeast cell and thereafter get separated from the parent cell by means of separation line or fission line. And this bud grows into the independent yeast cell. So this is known as exogenous budding. When the bud is formed superficially over the surface of some parent, the budding is referred with the name of superficial budding. So that's why I have mentioned specially on the slide. In budding, a bud appears and grows on. On means over the external surface. Oblique in. In means a bud may be formed inside the body of the parent. When the bud is formed inside the body of the parent, the concept is referred with the name of endogenous budding. Endogenous budding has been reported in case of sponges. In case of the sponges, endogenous budding is quite common. So what are the sponges? Sponges are a group of animals that belongs to the phylum Porifera. That is, it is a group of pore-bearing animals. And we can cite the best example is the freshwater sponge. So in case of the freshwater sponge, we can see both exogenous budding as well as endogenous budding takes place. And during unfavorable conditions, when the pond water dries up or when the food scarcity is there, the freshwater sponges, they start forming globular structures within their body. These globular structures which are formed within their body, these are referred with the name of gemmules. The gemmules are having a small opening on one side. That small opening is referred with the name of micropyle. And inside the micropyle, there is found a group of germinative cells. These cells are capable of germinating into the new sponge. And technically, these cells are referred with the name of archaeocytes. A sponge is protected on the outside by means of calcareous or siliceous spicules, which are the spine-like processes on its external face, and it protects the gemmule from the aquatic animals. And when the favorable conditions returns, I want to say when the pond is again refilled with the water in the rainy season, through the micropyle, the water is absorbed by the sponge. Archaeocytes, they oozes out. And keep in mind, one archaeocyte has the tendency to regrow into one complete sponge. In the body of a single sponge, billions of gemmules are formed. And a single gemmule can give rise to billions of new sponges. So hence this a drastic increase in the reproductive potential of the sponges is due to the presence of gemmules in them. So this is referred as method of reproduction as well as a method of parination in case of sponges. Then further, the third important method for asexual reproduction, that is referred with the name of fragmentation. In the fragmentation, if we see, the parent get fragmentized or get divided into one or more pieces, and each piece has a tendency to form the new animal or to new plant. And you may see the fragmentation in case of the hydrite is quite common. Fragmentation in the flatworms like planaria, it is quite common. When the fragmentation takes place in the hydra, so let's say imagine the case, hydra undergo division into the two parts and each part has a tendency to form the missing part or missing region of the body. In addition to that, planaria shows a maximum capacity of regeneration due to the fragmentation phenomenon. I want to say this is a flatform planaria. And this flatform planaria, if it get divided into two or more than two pieces, let's say its body has been cut into the three pieces, anterior portion, middle portion and the lower portion, then the interior portion or upper portion has a tendency to form the middle and lower portion. Middle portion has a tendency to form the upper as well as the lower portion, and lower portion has a tendency to form the middle as well as the upper portion. It means that the number of new individuals depends upon the number of fragments which are formed by its fragmentation. Then the next important method of asexual reproduction which has been seen, that is referred with the name of vegetative propagation. Vegetative propagation is named so because in this method primarily the vegetative organs of the plant, they are involved. And again, there is a participation of single parent or single plant in it. So that's why it is categorized under the title head of asexual reproduction. The parts of the plant which are vegetative, they are root, stem or leaf. And if the root, stem or leaf, it is used by the plant in order to perform the reproduction, then this is called as a vegetative propagation, or it may be referred with the name of vegetative reproduction. So it is quite common in case of potato, in case of ginger, in case of aloe vera, in case of bryophyllum, as well as in case of water hyacinthus or pistil. Then, in case of potato, how the vegetative propagation takes place? In case of the potato, which is actually a stem tuber, that is, the edible portion of the potato is the stem of the potato which becomes underground due to the storage of the food material. And this stem tuber, it is having small depressions over it. These depressions, they are referred with the name of eyes. These depressions are referred with the name of eyes. Keep in mind, the one of the end of the potato tuber is having more eyes in comparison to the other. And that particular end is known as a rose end. And the end of the potato which is having the lesser number of depressions or eyes, that is referred with the name of heel end. Each eye has a small bud inside it, and this bud can grow into a new plantlet. I want to say how we can use this stem tuber for propagation of potato plants. If we cut each eye and will bury these eyes into the soil, each eye has the capacity to form the new plant. So hence we can say this vegetative portion of the plant, it is normally used for the reproduction process, either naturally by the potato plant or artificially by human beings. So this is called as a vegetative propagation in case of potato with the help of stem tubers. Then likewise, we can give the example of rhizome. Rhizome has been seen in case of banana and ginger. So rhizome is actually again underground stem which is found obliquely growing into the soil, and it is the stem, it is indicated by the presence of nodes as well as internode areas. Over the nodal areas there are found the scale leaves, and from the nodal planes the new buds they emerge and they have the tendency to form the shoot as well as the root parts. So hence we can say this rhizome, it is commonly employed for vegetative propagation in case of banana as well as in case of ginger. Then in case of bryophyllum, we can see the adventitious buds. These adventitious buds, they can be seen growing from the leaf area, from the margin of the leaves. They arise and they have the tendency to form the new plant. And in case of agave or in case of aloe vera, we can find out the bulbils, the underground portions from where the needle-like leaves they emerge. These are referred with the name of bulbils, and the bulbils are actually the portion of the stem. They can be used for the vegetative propagation in case of agave. Then furthermore, in case of water hyacinthus or Eichhornia, which is also commonly called as terror of Bengal. To this particular aquatic plant, it is showing its propagation through the formation of offsets. The offsets, these are the one internode long horizontal stems which give rise to the new branch, and if this new branch gets separated from the main plant, it can behave like the independent individual. Likewise, we can also see the vegetative propagation in case of grasses, which takes place through runners, in case of mint through suckers, and likewise in case of potato through stem tuber, in case of onion through the formation of bulb area. Asexual reproduction may also take place by another method which is called as a sporolution. And sporolution or spore formation has been reported in case of algae, in case of fungi, and in case of algae and fungi, variety of spores they are formed. These spores can be categorized into two important groups: asexual spores and sexual spores. Asexual spores are those kinds of the spores which are formed by asexual reproduction. These are known as mitospores as well. Whereas the sexual spores which are formed, they are formed by meiosis, and they are found only in one class of fungi, kingdom fungi, and that is known as the Basidiomystes. Keep in mind, Basidiomystes is a class of mushrooms. In the mushrooms, the spores which are formed, these are the sexual spores, and these are called as basidiospores. Except Basidiomystes, other classes of fungi like Oomystes, Zygomystes, Phycomystes, they reproduces through the formation of asexual spores. And likewise, in case of algae like Chlamydomona, which is a green algae, you may see this is one of the diagram of Chlamydomona. The parent Chlamydomona is reproducing by asexual means by the formation of the new daughter propagules through the spore formation. And in case of penicillium, this is the diagram B, which is of the penicillium, which is a member of fungus Ascomyces. And in case of penicillium, we have Conidia or conidiospores, which are the asexual spores, which are born at the tip of their long tubular hyphae known as conidiophore hyphae. So with this, today I have discussed with you with reference to the asexual reproduction in the part 1. In the next session, I will deal with the concept of sexual reproduction in the plants and animals. And if you have some query, you can post your query on our YouTube channel, and we would like to respond it fastly. Thank you so much.